Chapter Undefined. Chapter 5/0. Because, you see, here's the thing. It's all the social media. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You wouldn't think it in so much that they've instead provided venue, but what's become is that individual expression has been totally degraded. The expression market has been flooded because everyone feels that they need to contribute. Everyone has a blog or a channel or a forum or some bullshit. You people, I bet your parents told you that your opinion matters and that everyone deserves to have their voices heard. No. Do you know what the average person is qualified to speak on? Sports, Netflix, Harry Potter, pornography. That's it. If you watch the nightly news, if the words on the screen during commercials comprise the majority of your reading material, if you know more about Walking Dead or Games of Thrones or things that break bad than you do about world history, if you vote every 4 years for president but don't know the names of your local politicians, if you trust anything that you see on TV but the time, then your opinion is virtually meaningless. That's not stopping people from advertising, though. There was a car in the parking lot the other day, and its bumper sticker had a sketch of a semi-truck trailer filled with cargo on pallets, and the words next to it said, "If you bought it, a truck brought it." People, this has got to stop. Buddy, if you bought it, truck brought it. Like all this guy needs is a gold star stickered to his chest and an AYSO medallion hanging from his neck. He participated. A couple weeks ago, a Walmart commercial let me to know that it was National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. Thanks, Walmart! And thank you for shoving this cultural vomit down our throats instead of paying anybody a decent wage. A whole week. This obviously isn't some token bullshit appeasement novelty day. This is serious. To be observed like the Passover week and the Week of Tabernacles. In the commercial, a little farm boy ran to the end of the driveway so that he could give a thumbs up to an 18-wheeler that's passing by. The old seal of approval. The trucker just nods his head, tips his cap, and moves on his way. I'm telling you, utterly shameless. Like him and his blue-collar profession are the last bastion of hard-working American masculinity. Which, just for the moment, is feeling like a bunch of fat chicks at prom. Nobody's paying attention to me! Oh, good Lord, get it together, Linda! Come on, you've been warned. Take it to the bathroom. People are trying to have fun. Yeesh! God. Can I just ask, if that's all the truckers' union's doing for you, then why join the union? All right, because if you don't, Walmart and the rest of his cronies, the guy with all the jobs, they won't hire you. And though big business has historically been against unions, the Dark Lord Walmart loves the truckers' union. Because you see, Walmart's going to do whatever the fuck Walmart wants to. And the union's going to accept any terms that Walmart says it will. And you're going to shut the fuck up and eat your swill. And this at least looks like fair trade. You bought it, truck brought it. Yeah, that's the problem. That we're still moving all of our shit around via this archaic method. Which would undoubtedly be by now obsolete. Except that the conglomerates own innovation and scare everyone into compliance by murdering anyone that's trying too hard to change it. I would have loved, though, to have been at that next union meeting. Thank you, Cindy, for reading the minutes of last week's meeting. Now, finally, as all your shouts have been demanding, new business. And I just want to say, I think that this last round of negotiations went really well. Well, no, they haven't offered more money. No, we didn't get the pensions that we were pushing for. Well, yes, you'll still be expected to make 30-hour runs. And no, Big Jim, I'm sorry, but Walmart has decided that there will be no overtime pay. But every July, Walmart and the rest of the retailers have agreed to impose a National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. And then just stands there, rotating back and forth over the crowd of forlorn union members, looking for signs of approval that her enthusiastic tone and her oblivious smile so desperately invite. Now, to be fair, at least one person at the meeting, the guy wearing the AYSO medallion, he's like, fine, all right, thank you. At last, the dignity we fought for. Now everyone will have to acknowledge that we're integral to society too. But the rest of the crowd is just speechless, dumbfounded, looking around like they're waiting to now get the good news. Finally, someone at the meeting breaks the silence. And all week, whenever you arrive with your cargo at your delivery destinations, there'll be donuts and coffee in the break room for you all to enjoy. After a short silence, someone in the crowd pulls out a gun and shoots himself in the face. Convinced now that life is void and meaningless. No one reacts at all. Then Big Jim stands up and works his way to the front of the stage. Listen, everyone. I say we elect new union leadership. Who's with me? Rocking his fist. New union leadership. New union leadership. Some in the crowd start seem ready to join in. Come on, guys. New union leadership. New union. No! And since no one else wants to be black-bagged, dragged out, and never heard from again, a somber, subdued silence ensues. But management is willing to discuss reimbursing the yearly cost of your air fresheners for your trucks. The little pine cones. Let that simmer, though. And while the rest of the crowd at the meeting also contemplates suicide, I'd like to redirect the conversation for a moment, if I may, and has anybody else noticed that back to school time has become some sort of new Christmas prequel? How that, June through the end of September, no matter what channel you're watching, during every commercial break, there's some weird hip-hop music video of 10-year-olds breakdancing and gyrating scandalously and shaking undeveloped hips and asses. And always shot from some risque, upskirt up-waist angle. And they run them over and over, too. Every break on every channel for weeks and months, non-stop. I'm serious, it's obscene. They can't just let you watch the Cubs game, but every 3 hours they gotta remind you all the bullshit you're gonna have to buy for each of your kids eventually. New school clothes. Shoes too. Separate schools for gym. Separate shoes for gym. Book bags, binders, pens, black, red ink, blue, scissors, loose leaf, crayons, and markers. Don't forget glue. Notebooks for each subject. Still gotta pay the mortgage. When's insurance due? Run the AC a lot. And most of the shit the kids don't even need. What, are you raising little Sheldon? What the fuck does a 5th grader need a protractor for? But there's a mandatory list of school supplies that the teacher reads off of the first day, and with each new item, one by one, as their names are called, each child raises the item in the air, preventing proof that their parents love them. And the children whose parents are poor and don't love them are punished by, having to wear the pitiful potato sack as they trudge in front of their classmates to the disgraced place of forgotten children, which is what the teacher calls the pile of donated supplies at the center of the classroom and the circle of students, to thoroughly shame and humiliate the child to be ostracized. And for the rest of the school year, all of his classmates call him the poor kid who smells and has lice and whose dad drives the bread truck. So now you have to decide between your monthly quarter ounce of weed or having your kids scarred, and all because one summer Walmart and the rest of his crew, dressed like the wise guys from Goodfellas, went to all the principals and gently persuaded them to fatten up the school list, the supply list, by, smashing into lockers the faces of any who disagreed. Before long, your kid's principal was on his hands and knees, bleeding on the floor of the sophomore hallway. So, principal, what will the kids be needing? He's down on all floors. So, principal, what are the kids going to be needing? More supplies! Good lad, what kind of supplies? Name them! All of them? No, some of them! Yeah, all of them! Pencils! Paper! Erasers! Good, what else? Folders! Rulers! Is you forgetting anything, boys? What about paper clips? Office Depot says kids need paper clips. Oh, no, paper clips. What else? Rubber bands. Rubber bands. Anything else, boys? Hole punches. Hey, Kmart says the kids need hole punches. Hole punches? Yeah, hole punches. Office Depot's got to eat too. So now, all you want to do is let the ball game distract you, but every 3 outs, like clockwork, a choreographed striptease of booty-shaking prepubescence reminds you that you have the equivalent of another mortgage payment due this month or the next when all's said and done. There's one back-to-school commercial that's particularly criminal. And oh man, holy moly, he went a lot on this one. Walmart did. And you've all seen it. Whether you know it or not, you've seen it. It's in you. You're accomplice unto it. You did it too. It's your sin also. And there will be a time. Believe you me. Oh yes. But there shall be a time. And on the one side, the endless repose of heaven's sweet celestial splendor, the place of the blessed, prepared since the foundations of the earth, and promised out of the mouths of the holy prophets, of such spectacular, transcendent bliss and wonders which yet await, that this feeble formulate can so hardly fathom its happiness in the hereafter, and across a great gap, as it were, like the separating spectrum of his dumb duality, span like the breadth of this vain ego, and with the depth of our human heart, perdition, beneath the cold curse of the damned, and unto perpetual despair. Oh yes, but there shall be a time when you shall meet your Creator who made you, and stand before the Spirit that shaped you, and answer inquisition of the force that compelled you through the dark abyss, under the judgment of the pure light that formed you. And know this, that you too should be called to account, and to attest for your silent compliance. And what shall you say, with your eternal soul at stake, when he plays it again before you, what you had once ago gave witness to prior, and demands answer of you, how it was that you withheld your rage from the streets? Where was your righteous indignation and your fight on holy behalf? What measures of protest did you mount against it? And how come it is that you took no offense for the things you saw, and in poor plea, in desperate appeal unto my moral order? And I mean, some people that you hear about, harmful types, people that hurt people, they might earn their hell in a couple of moments. But for the rest of us, maybe damnation is what becomes of our daily decisions, our trivial vanities, our frivolous little ignorances that maybe we didn't care much to correct. And what will you say on that final day? And how shall you answer the Almighty, with forever in the balance, when questioned what was important to you and why, and wonders the things you found worth fighting for, worth fighting over? Just think about that. Anyway, it's a real stinker. I'll tell you all about it. So it's set to the smash hit 2003 Grammy Award winner for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, Let's Get It Started by the Black Eyed Peas. So you know which song I'm talking about, the one with that fat beat, the bass that keeps running, so forth. So, right there, already, the bar's set pretty high. There are certain expectations. Because, come on, you cannot come out with that song and then fall anything shy of fully starting it. Things shall not be left in any wise unstarted from that point thereafter. And to his credit, Walmart delivers. Doesn't disappoint. Sufficiently comes with it. The commercial begins like a preview at the movies. You hear vocals before you see any imagery. Right there, building up anticipation. That sexy, seductive female voice drawing you in behind the black screen. Enticing attention onto the starting that should shortly ensue. Then the beat begins. And once that it does, then the bass keeps running, as the bass is wont to do. While the sequence on the screen, like the music, starts slow, before too it gets going in a hurry. And suddenly you're hit by a visual barrage of dads who are all doing things a little differently this year. One by one, men of this hurried, modern age. Shopping for school supplies. What? On their phones? That's right. Getting school shopping done the easy way. Placing online orders over their smartphones. They're using technology to make their lives more convenient. Huh? No kidding? Tell me more. All to the beat, which less invites than inspires the mental action of emotional motion. And the dads are on their smartphones, What? And the dads are all still at work, Huh? And the dads are scrolling. Hoo, 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 They're placing orders on the phones. Pick up later. At the store. Already filled. No need to wait. Just come and go. After you pay. Let's get it started in here. Let's go. Right. And it's all leading to the first day of school. And all the dads that were just placing the online orders on their smartphones, they all managed to get the day off. Even some of the guys in the construction crew. They're all standing among the huge congregation of proud, encouraging parents that are standing outside the school to surprise the kids when they arrive. And the dads are scrolling, right? The white Caucasian crew's dad puts his hand affectionately on the shoulders of the black dad who also ordered online, because they're old friends. Just to show everybody that this isn't Tuscaloosa. It's fully desegregated. Then the school bus arrives, filled with students staring out the windows, amazed at the huge crowd. Then the kids get off the bus and run through. There's a tunnel of cheering parents, high-fiving all the way into the school. Like they're running through the locker room at the Super Bowl. And one of the mothers along the tunnel puts her hands to her chest. Because it's all so darling. And it's just insulting and sad and embarrassing and damaging to the social fabric in so many ways. First of all, every time it airs, all of the poor moms that are envious of the pretty moms with successful husbands who aren't hampered with day jobs, who actually participate in these pathetic validation rituals, they start, the moms who are jealous of them, they start getting more and more encouraged every time they see it. Yeah, I can afford to do that too if I shop at Walmart. Then eventually she starts messaging with her other poor moms over like Facebook Messenger, and before you know it, they've got their own great value brand celebration, but like all the streamers are some off-colored rust or vomit yellow. The balloons are just floating on their sides, dented with deflation. The shimmering streams of foil and the confetti are just sheets of cut-up construction paper. All the gathered parents are smoking, and it's like, save your money, poor people. Stay in your lane, poor people. Save the money. Focus your energy on getting little Trevor interested in engineering alternative energy sources. Maybe think geothermal. But even more disturbing, the commercial's casting and wardrobe are straight out of some hideous, sweaty nightmare of focus group testing. Like they siphoned the montage directly out of the brains, of the subject test family of human slugs who they keep locked in a giant plastic mouse cage. Yeah, it's got, wood chips on the floor, giant water bottles connected to the wall from the outside that they all put their mouths to. The whole 9 yards. The fat little son is trudging along on a giant mouse wheel that's behind the couch where the parents are sitting. They've both got wire sensors grafted into their skulls. And sensors which record every neurological impulse throughout all the different brain regions as they're shown images of demographic combinations. Like white garbage man or black plumber, Hispanic electrician, what have you. And the combination found to be least offensive to the test subject family of mindless drones. They comprise the montage of dads in the commercial that Walmart visually force feeds the viewer. And let me just say, virtually the entire marketing spectrum is represented. You got kids, young parents, middle-aged parents, old people, men, women, boys, girls. There are blacks, whites, Hispanics, and Asian guys ringing up orders behind the Walmart service desk. I'm serious. All you need is a flamboyant queer in short shorts and shirtless beneath the blue vest to be bagging groceries of like some Hindu guy holding a sitar, maybe wearing a t-shirt with a picture of Vishnu on it, just to clarify. And nobody could feel left out of this shameless little piece of pornography, which goes on for a full minute too, by the way. Over and over, every commercial break, a full minute of this filth. Now, the star of the commercial, the focus, the market they're most trying to push is depicted as a successful black man. He's the odd man out. You know those aptitude tests that we all take in high school? One of the questions would be, which item does not fit with the rest? A, square, B, triangle, C, circle, or D, toothpaste? And of course the answer is D, because it's not a shape. The successful black man, he's the toothpaste. Every other character in the commercial deliberately follows the same theme, except for the black eye focal point. Out of all the dads, he's the only one wearing a suit. Now, I realize we're almost into the third decade of the 21st century, and it's no longer considered uppity for a nigger of mine to wear a suit and tie and attain career success. So please, don't think that I take exception to the depiction of African affluence. Okay? I'm not up here like... No one else sees anything perverse about this? None of you are offended by this gross misrepresentation? Look at him! He's not wearing sneakers or anything! Has a tie on? Alright. It's not his attire that's troubling, it's everyone else's. Because he radiates success too. The successful black man does. They really pour it on. Nice suit, corner office in some densely populated metropolis. The view out of his office window is adjacent skyrises and tall complexes. He's clearly doing well for himself. They introduce him first also, the successful black man. The first character you see. Then though, while the song is building up, what you're hearing is music that keeps running, and so on. But the visual rhythm after the suited black man is all flannel, and hard hat, and flannel. And then, but wait, just to distract you from all that flannel, hold on a second, a paramedic. He's wearing a white shirt, even buttons down and everything. Swear it. He's not police, not the fire, not so polarizing, his attire. All they want for you to see is the municipality. Let's get it started. You know, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You know the rest. And as the ad continues, after all the dads drag their asses into Walmart to pick up their orders, the successful black man is the first one at the school in the morning. And all the rest of the dads in the commercial, one by one, they all greet him with such ardent, warm enthusiasm, like they're all just such great friends. Good to see you, Pat. Like they're all just such close friends. Or he's something of a mentor to each of them, and they're all just showing him the deepest homage and respect. Now, I'm not saying this can't happen. A white man displaying, perhaps even feeling respect, even affection, dare say unto even reverence for his black peer, perhaps even friend, even double dare say mentor? I know. Fight your aversion, your visceral response to the hateful thought. And in public! Push it away. Push that thought out of there. Alright? Utterly possible. If not, I fear plausible. Even probable. Somehow, in some context. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. And if it does, somehow, I'm not saying whites should or have any reason or right to be offended. Alright? I'm not watching the thing like, what the fuck, Drew? Boo! Boo, Drew! Get back in the right team, Drew! Oreo! Stay with your own kind! Okay? Don't hear what you fear, people. Because all I'm saying is, ugh! Fuck you, Walmart! Ugh! Please and by all means! Now, there's a number of ways to interpret this minute-long monstrosity. And bear in mind that there's not necessarily just one that's valid. There seems to be many offensive smells to this stinker, First, it's entirely possible that there is no underlying agenda, that I'm thinking too deeply into things, that the slithering Machiavellian serpent known as Walmart isn't so conniving, and that except for the successful black man and the municipal worker, everyone else, even the guy in the office setting, honest, with computers and walls and everything. So he must operate some small remodeling company or do some other sort of small construction contracting. Coincidentally, on the same day of shooting, they all might have just decided to wear flannel. And if you believe that, you're a fucking retard. Second, maybe the focus is more socio and less economic. More pro-us and less versus them. Maybe the successful black man stays true to his Walmart roots, out of which he pulled himself. He can afford Whole Foods, but he's a man of the community. Maybe. The next explanation is a harder one because there are two possible tones to the same suggestion. So imagine advertisers trying to reiterate and reinforce old race stratification, but the tone with which it's portrayed is either really condescending or like consoling, like look on the bright side kind of thing. So imagine some pompous dick with some shit-eating kind of wink to his facial expression, like, well, prosperous black people, you're still not allowed at our golf courses, but if you want to mingle with these white working class trash heaps, well, you go on right ahead. But it could also be consoling, in higher pitch, like trying to comfort the sting of a harsh but unavoidable truth, like, sorry, prosperous black people, you're still not allowed at our golf courses, but if you want to shop at Walmart, you could still be king among these white trash morons. Like, that's still pretty good, right? At least it's something. Something's better than nothing. Now, no more complaining. But I think Walmart's being even more insidious than this. I see Walmart playing like Iago, whispering poison into Othello's ear, planting just the tiniest little seed of insecurity and doubt, pulling ever so subtly on that ever-present string at the back of the African-American mind regarding race depictions. A tendency towards suspicion, which may or may not entirely, absolutely, be warranted, be justified. But nonetheless, you see, it's not what they're showing you, it's what they're not showing you. Because remember, while many shades of the American experience and rank on the food chain are accounted for, there's really only one perspective that the ad is concerned with, the successful black man's, who, in a commercial that's very carefully costumed, is the only person dressed above blue collar. So help me God. Suit and tie. I mean, so help me God. Suit and tie. I mean, he's the first thing you see when the ad starts. Is him walking through huge glass doors at some very large firm and up to his corner office. And it is legitimately the corner office. One of the building's 4 enormous vertical corner steel pillars is literally dividing the bright metropolitan background of the scene behind his desk. Right angle. The guy's the first person there waiting to surprise the kids at the school on the big morning. He's anxious. He's excited. He's looking at his watch. You don't get to where he is without being punctual. And he's there so early that it's just him there, thinking, now I know why young Jeffrey's classmates all live at Pressboard Meadows. The lesser dads, they're all gratuitously, obsequiously jovial with him. Not like mutual levels of respect either, but just unabashedly, emphatically accepting of his obvious superiority. And aggressively apologetic, like, oh God, shaking his head like, oh God, I'm sorry about my parents. The guy's a huge success, alright? He's the husband that the other wives compare their husbands to right in front of their faces during fights over bills and money. Okay? Just know that. He's deliberately, specifically, precisely portrayed. And eventually, after you sit through it a couple dozen, 100 times, you start to actually see what they're showing you. Then it's simply a matter of connecting the dots, and soon it becomes painfully clear the thought process. Yea, the moral decay, the sick botulism that conceived then profusely dispensed this advertising toiletful. Which just swept, too. Just swept. You know what this commercial did. At whatever annual Circle Jerk award ceremony that big advertising firms throw collectively for themselves within the industry each year, which is really just a huge tax-exempt party for the board members and the majority stockholders at each firm to fuck the escorts who are hired and for the gala event and who are also billed and written off tax-exempt. And like a true bunch of assholes, they don't call it advertising at the award ceremony. Like, I don't make movies, I produce motion picture films. Well, these guys don't advertise, they remind. And that's the cute nickname they give to their award. And the reminder for the most original race-specific portrayal goes to... Oh, jeez, I knew I would have trouble. And the reminder goes to Walmart for its back-to-school reminder entitled Go Black Big. But before this tire fire became the breakout success of some young director making his way, who still hopes to call himself a modern artist, it was first the mutated brainchild of one faithful meeting among Walmart's humble board of directors. So, picture a huge, fire-lighted chamber within Dracula's Gothic castle. There's like vultures circling around overhead amidst pitch-black doom and tearing lightning strikes. Now bear in mind, it may not have gone like this, but I think it's equally likely that it did. So imagine a grand polished table made from elephant ivory, and all the seats, at all the seats there are chalices made from the hollowed heads of board members from Kroger and Omni and Piggly Wiggly and other businesses that Walmart destroyed in economic warfare. To so, with sipping wine out of the conquered skulls, lay claim and ownership over their vanquished souls in Valhalla. By celebrating victory unto bloody Mars, god of blunt forces. Un Anatza Maruk Atuk. There are graphs, pie charts on tripods. The line depicting profit margins is just a cartoonish red line ascending almost vertically up a grid with an arrow at the top pointing up. The people are shoving money. There are people shoving money into their suits and from a big pile atop the table's center. Some of them are heaving high denomination bills into the air like confetti. And here we are, well past the elegant dinner. The veal in gold charges. The broth of poor people tears. And poached bald eagle eggs. The virgin sacrifice. That all came and went. Then dessert was ordered, right? And instead the ceiling mechanically opened and just a flowing torrent of currency falls and forms a huge pile upon the center of the table. It catches some of them, the new board members off guard, but it's all in good fun. And they all start laughing and stuffing their jackets. Swine feeding at the awful trough. Everyone except Ball at the head of the table. His charger held the head of John the Baptist, right? He just sits there, legs crossed, elbows upon the table, elbows upon the arms of the dark throne, holds his hand before his face in a triangle, each finger joined to its match on the opposite hand, as he watches disgustedly beneath his brow the grotesque scene before him. In the same contemptuous fashion, he watches the Pope squirm in front of him, right? I mean, this guy hasn't touched currency in years. He wears on one of his thumbs one of the 9 rings of power given to the race of men by the Dark Lord Sauron. Okay? He's long bored with these lavish displays. He just wants to get back to business. So it's the second in command, his right-hand man. He's the one who interrupts the joy of the moment. All right, guys. All right, settle down. I know, it's fun. Yeah, I know. But seriously, back to the matter at hand. How are we going to stop black families, net income, $100,000 to $200,000, from jumping ship? And those that have, how are we going to bring them back into the fold? Apparently they have some sort of objection to the hordes of barbarians that Walmart most appeals to. So how are we going to change this, though? Because I'm serious. If we don't come up with a new ad campaign ourselves, dead serious, we're going to lose the whole demographic. Just then the fireplace behind the master's seat, the fire in flames for an instant, uproariously, then settles back down again. At the same time, a large raven caws loudly in the windowsill. As the second guy continues, the tense little half-laugh in his voice isn't for his own nervousness, but sensitive to how unsettling it is for the newly damned to behold Master Walmart's influence over fire. So, come on guys, let's hear some suggestions. For a moment, everyone around the table is too terrified to speak. Drawing deep, audible, visible breaths. Finally, someone dares break the silence. Well, what if the cornerstone of our upcoming back to school campaign centers around a successful black man walking to work, even though he's got the corner office? You don't show him getting off the subway, just emerging up the stairs from an underground terminal, rising. So then, when you see how successful he is over the rest of the commercial, his shopping at Walmart is like him staying true to his thrifty roots. Like a real man of the people. Before number 2 responds, another one adds to the idea. And him and a bunch of the other dads can all be placing online orders with their smartphones, so that the intended audience knows that if they want, they can still avoid being around all the mouth breathers who can't afford smartphones. Excellent. Good point. It's a good start, but it needs more. What else we got? Another silence. Someone else chimes in. How about it's all leading up to one of these horrendous parent pep... How about it's all leading up to one of these horrendous parent pep rallies for all the little kids? And in the build-up, right, you show 2 successful dads, a white dad, and we show him shopping in one of the nice places. Then we show our guy, the black dad who's keeping it real. Later on the big day, though, right, no one's really talking to the successful white dad. He's kind of standing alone off to the side, with his hands in his pockets. Except it's not really that cold out. But our successful black dad, right, all the other dads are like beelining over to this guy. They're giving him just mad respect, like, this guy, right, this guy, he's with us. Like, they're calling dibs on the guy. So it's like, yeah, you can shop with the humans at the Whole Foods, but if you shop at Walmart, you can be king over all these Neanderthals. Number 2, though, he's not so sure. He's looking around at the rest of the faces. Faces all more or less like his own. Vaguely European, Nordic, Germanic, white Caucasian. And he's not liking that depiction in the long term. I don't know. That might inflate their egos a bit too much. Pretty soon, they'll be coming to Walmart all right, but only to purchase shotgun cartridges for their insurrection. Someone else, though, interjects with a brilliant compromise. Well, if that inflates them, then what if later at the parent pep rally, as the kids run off the bus, we pull them right back down to earth, when the tunnel of cheering parents is lined with brain-dead morons and bloated, unfuckable housewives? Suddenly somebody else. And they've all got their hands to their chest, beside themselves with just how adorable it all is. Just smitten, And, utterly ignorant as to how hollow, half-assed, and mind-numbingly stupid the ritual is. In all actuality, right? Since they'll all have long given up on parenting by the time the kids are in high school, and thus emotionally the same age. So that by the end, when you get to one last glimpse of the successful white dad, and he's still got his hands in his pockets, as he hovers loosely around the outskirts of the congregation, maybe he's not so unpopular, as he is embarrassed that these are the slugs that he's forced to participate and engage with. So that's like we're saying, whoa, all right, that's a nice Range Rover. And you know what? If you want to let these sexless trolls flatter you over it, hey, we won't say anything. Good save, but it needs more subtext. Someone pleads with him, though, for some sort of sanity. Boss, you're a madman. More subtext? It's here, though, that Master Walmart speaks his first words in the entire evening. The moment he does, all noise concedes to him. Lightning tears, but now without thunder. The fire simmers softer. There will be no success shown but the black man's, and there will be no other retailers depicted. But why? He just poses the question and leaves it there. The board members around the table, they hardly realize they have to answer. But again, someone dares to first break the silence. Because if you remind the intended audience that there are other possible options, then they'll inevitably choose dignity and class over cost and community, and logically choose the more palatable alternative, which, in almost every scenario, is the competitors. By now, number 2, he's quietly shuffled over to his familiar spot just behind Master Walmart's left peripheral. He looks over past his master's shoulder at the cold, concealed posture that was resumed immediately after speaking, to observe the still silent lack of visible response to the board member's suggestion. No, that's not correct. Another silence. Someone else takes a whack at it. Because black people fundamentally resent any success that's enjoyed by anyone that isn't black? At this, number 2 perks up a bit and quickly surveys his liege. Receptive, even hopeful, like that may well be the correct answer. But his intrigue soon diminishes with the staunch, unflinching silence sustained by his master. He doesn't even enunciate, just shakes his head ashamedly. So, when you're trying to figure something out that's really stumping you, as you consider it more and more, your brain's incorporating different parts of itself, integrating various modes of logic into strings of thought circuit relay. And when you figure something out, that aha moment, that's neurochemicals completing the newly forged neurology, and it's like physical logic. You experience a physical gratification, though, that's an endorphin release. You experience a satisfied depletion. There's a payoff, almost like a money shot. A climax is reached, and your mind ejaculates with each new knowledge that's acquired. Imagine your brain masturbating with math problems and blowing its load on quadratic formulas. Anyway, that sudden flash of the light bulb, that's number 2. He stood at his master's side a long time. That he's had enough practice tiptoeing around twisted logic. Because, he's not even like a protege, number 2. He's never harbored a single thought or hope of so much as touching his master's ring, even to polish it. Like he feels not just validated, but existentially fulfilled that such a man has accepted his subsidiary. Like Waylon Smithers, he's perpetually grooming himself to be the perfect subordinate. His only daily pursuit is to perceive, discern, adhere to, and eventually to anticipate every small inclination, every trivial intention, every thankless demand of his Walmart overlord. It takes a moment, but before long, he perceives the light, which as though through the narrow windows of Solomon's temple manages to shine in, and lights upon his thought-veiled visage like sudden surmise, not expressing, but displaying, like the gratified release of a satisfied jizz face, his intellectual orgasm. Sir, you are a genius. The ad runs for a full minute, longer even, and it plays all the time. At every commercial break, every major network, every primetime lineup, every news broadcast, every sporting event, every 12 minutes. All day, every day. For 3 months straight. Do the math, people. After mindlessly ingesting it a few thousand times, the intended audience, they'll begin pondering the commercial in their sleep. They'll be chasing that bouncing yellow smiley face in their dreams. Then finally they'll devote conscious thought to it. They'll notice the unique success of the Black Dad. They'll know that it's significant, but its fuller implication won't be immediately obvious. Maybe they decide to pay specific attention next time it airs, which won't be long. And intrigue will still be fresh in their mind. We'll include it all. The successful Black Dad, first in front. The flannel on the others. The slugs that are mothers. The inflation in the pop. The comfort with the taunt. We'll give them all the data and leave it to them to draw the conclusion. Maybe it takes them a little while to figure it out. Maybe they have to watch it a few more times. Whenever, whichever, whatever, however it hits them, doesn't matter. But that once it does, it'll hit them like Winston Smith's bullet to the head. Every visual element, each subtle suggestion, each blatant stereotype, each implied point, each derogatory undertone, like rotary grooves inside the gun's barrel, spinning, stabilizing, pinpointing the propelled projectile through its rifle spiral air seam splitting path, that it hits the market of our aim. And when it does, like the irrefutable attraction of gravity, the immense astronomical mass of the irresistible truth will draw them forevermore into our store. They'll deliberately pay attention and won't know why, but it lingers like a bad aftertaste. They don't feel insulted, but somehow they're being condescended to. They'll pay attention again 12 minutes later. They'll recognize the focal point, the successful Black Dad. Default racial indignation will be ready to inflame, like parts of their brain are starting to itch. But they can't justify the discontent, yet with adequate reason why. There's obvious racial component, but no negative characterization. Something's afoot, though. 12 more minutes. Halfway through, they stop paying attention. Assured they've discerned the deeper design. Brother holding down the hood, just with different threads. Keeping it real at Walmart. They'll consciously resolve themselves to specifically no more watch or pay any more attention. It's an easy answer, though, and it won't hold up long. Something doesn't compute. They don't want to, but they watch again 12 minutes later, scanning specifically for details among just the black characters. Fucking savages, they'll think, when they notice the gratuitous friendship with our successful Black Dad, bearing no resemblance whatsoever to anything from real life. Throwing glitter on an ugly past, and we're all good buddies now. Like all these guys, we're old teammates under Denzel and the Titans, remember? And here they are, keeping up the good fight, forcing us all to confront our own reflections. But wait, they were supposed to focus on only the black people. That's when they noticed that the only other black dad who ordered online, the barber, he's nothing among the mutants. He's not among the mutants lining the tunnel of parents on the big day. Ah, they'll concede, imagining the real binary between the black dads, the only two, the black dad dyad. It's not enough to be simply thrifty, young man, but you must nurture aspirations and habits of upward mobility as well. And they're thinking, all right, right on, Walmart, right on. But again, something's not right. What's with all this white clutter then? They'll argue within themselves. Everyone knows that every now and then, the nice retailers will throw a beautiful light-skinned mulatta Africana in an ad, lest they be served summons to appear to answer before Oprah in one of her inquisitions. But if you're pandering to blacks particularly, why all the unnecessary white faces? Why not pad the stats and make everyone black? Paint it black, as it were, and cast Tyler Perry's Back to School commercial. Why not go back in black, so to speak? They'll wonder, are they trying to entice us? Like, here, Walmart, you can boss around all these back sweaters. 12 minutes later, depictions of moronic motherhood will have them physically distressed, kneeled over in the fetal position, paralyzed with stomach convulsions and crippling clenching spasms. Once the delirium, the dizziness, and the disorientation pass, once rational thought returns, they're either encouraged, like, this dim-witted creature is the enemy that we must outsmart. Now, let's go repeal the 13th Amendment. Or they're demoralized, like, is this progress? Is this what prosperity looks like? Rubbing elbows with revolting microwavers? Listening to lobotomized food bags struggle to form complete sentences? Wondering whether that impressive fupa also has numerous protruding nipples, like the udders of other livestock? However they feel, by now they're consumed. Pretty soon, they're waiting till the program resumes to go use the bathroom. Don't miss not a single showing. They're tearing the sheets at night. Somewhere inside them, though, they already have all the pieces. It's just a matter of putting them together. Why is the black dad wearing the only suit? Why is everyone else wearing flannel? If Walmart equates with prosperous commerce, then where are the successful white dads? Why is this significant? Where are all the successful white dads shopping? And why wouldn't our worthy black dad be shopping there with them instead? And in the instant that the instant they think the question, the answer hits them like the bullet buried into their brain. It's entirely possible that some of their heads will explode. With their revelation, we call checkmate over their choice of retailer from that moment forward. That, or like implode, insurmountable pressure applied by the brain stem, causing like the skull to cave in and the head to condense down to a singularity. Think like the crunching an aluminum can or something with your hands, right? That could very well happen to some of the more intelligent ones. Their heads being sucked inside themselves from within. Who knows, The consequences could be quantum. And they're like forced through some time portal, or they're uncreated or something. You've all seen It's a Wonderful Life. Could be they're only rendered catatonic. Their every capacity left comatose. Should they ever recover, though, from whatever shock state seizes them, like pierced by a harpoon and pulled in, they're ours forever. And 12 minutes later, while they're still putting back together the pieces of their shattered reality, there will be the only shoulder left to cry on. Like, okay there, pal. I know. Come on. I know it hurts. It's all right. Just let it all out. And like our proud black dynamo sending off Junior on that first day of school, there we are. A wise father, ready not only to guide but also to catch, as though our own children whensoever they should fall. Not chastising or reproachfully, but as a compassionate parent who illuminates error not with crude criticism, but with a lighter, tender touch, with tough but gentle love, that the greater life lesson not be lost, that a more mature individual might someday emerge with each similar little weaning to naive nuance, like, well, just bless your little heart that you didn't already know. Even rich black people aren't allowed to shop at Meijer or Target. It's sad. So very sad and true. And from there, after what had been a slow, solitary clap, started by number 2 himself, with the culmination of his own explanation, soon the room was uproarious with approval, applauding its appreciation for Master Walmart's sharp and subtle cunning. At which point, presumably, not long thereafter, their presence no longer necessary, number 2 thanked everyone for a productive evening, first enunciated, then endorsed, then reiterated the wisdom of their immediate compliance, pulled the little remote out of his breast pocket, pressed a single button, and dismissed the group, as several large metal doors, built and blended into the walls, lifted up mechanically, and a unit of men, dressed in full riot gear and carrying automatic weapons, succinctly exited the board members of the premises, unto the administration of their respective tasks. And as to in some other galaxy, somewhere across the universe, a black hole resumed consuming all substance and energy and force within its gain, unto such gravitational surrender that light itself cannot escape the curse, or the inexhaustible dominance, or the dark, infinite despair of its eternal void. Like I said, though, it may not have gone like that. It's possible that it was conceived by some other means, by some other asexual blasphemy, some different but not dissimilar necrophilia. So, I can't swear to every detail. Maybe it wasn't storming out. But, come on. Dog shit doesn't put itself in a paper bag and set itself on fire atop someone else's porch. And desecration is deliberately derogatory, and the distinct scent of diarrhea is biologically designated to denote individual disease within distance. And incest is both unholy and unnatural, and gives dramatic rise to gross deformity by birth defect and social retrograde. It wasn't very long afterwards, over the ensuing weeks, that negotiations failed between Walmart and the Truckers Union, which led to the union meeting that we left in silence. Remember the Truckers Union meeting? Big Jim, who was black-bagged and dragged out, the dire desperation of his inaudible pleas, his muffled screams and shouts to the assembled crowd of peers and union members, associates, colleagues, neighbors, friends, and family, for some sort of protest on his behalf, some sort of defiance, some sort of resistance, some sort of sanity. The flyers, the missing person posters that you pass every day all around town, which were put up by Big Jim's family, who are all still hopeful for his safe return home. When you remember the nameless union member, who shot himself in the face, convinced by big retail that life is void of virtue or value, the utter absence of emotional response from the audience around him, like such despair is common to their congregations. When you consider that all boardrooms operate this way, and how they're all comprised of the same bottom-feeding breed of blood-sucking vampires, heartless monsters, and sociopaths, how talcum powder gives mothers pussy cancer, yet J&J is still a family company. When you consider the pile of money, Bambi, who they enjoyed for dinner, your kid's principal in the hospital, and the focus group of family drone test subjects, all of them putting their mouths on the same water bottle on the wall. don't these extravagant, ultra choreographed, over-the-top, back-to-school commercials produced by all the major retailers together, don't they all start to seem rather ridiculous and preposterous and insulting, offensive, and child pornographic?